I totally woke up this morning and I thought it was Friday. How crazy is that? So I was about to do Freestyle Fridays where you ask me any question. And now we're going to do Freestyle Thursdays because of the fact that I literally thought it was Friday. So sorry, you guys, I didn't prepare content. I'm going to be here to just serve, which means that you can ask me any question about your business. So think right now, what is a burning question that you have around your business? And then type it into the comments section if you're watching live here on HeartCore right now. On the HeartCore Business Facebook page. If you're watching on YouTube afterwards, then I would recommend that you jump over to our HeartCore Business page at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern on Monday through Friday, and then you can actually engage with me live. Otherwise, welcome to our page. All right, you guys. Perfect. I'm glad you can hear me. Okay, let's get into some questions. So what's a question that you have around your business right now, or even your lifestyle, right? I do live events. I'm just telling you a little bit about some of the things that I do. Live events, email marketing, how to engage your audience, how to make offers. I'm not a copywriter, but I can definitely give you some good insight on how to write good headlines, things like that, what I do at least. I'll tell you that as an entrepreneur, I don't do everything myself. In fact, I do less today than I've ever done in my entire life as an entrepreneur, because now I really focus on the vision of how we grow the company and how we serve our client base. Where when I started my company, I wore a lot of hats. When I started my company. And the goal is, there's this weird thing with growing a business, because when you start to get momentum, it's hard. It's a grind, right? Because there's a lot of hats that you are wearing. But then if you stick through, it's kind of like a hard workout, right? If you stick through the hard workout, you get the payoff of the tight body, right? If you stick through the hard, build of building your business, then you get the payoff of the freedom on why you did it in the first place. So I just share that with you because sometimes we just need to have that carrot dangling on the end of the string to remind us that there is a light at the end of the tunnel where you have a team around you that supports you. But even building the team, you have to go through sludge, right? Because there's a whole new level of leadership that you have to develop to even run the team that gives you freedom. It's not just hire people to do your stuff for you. It just doesn't work like that. It's how do you lead people? How do you empower people? How do you allow them to make mistakes on things that you wouldn't like, operate in a way that you wouldn't operate? How do you deliver information and communicate with your team so that they know how to project manage versus thinking that they don't project manage very well? Like, there's just like all these little I don't even know how to say that word, details that make the difference between finding that road to freedom or not. So I'll tell you, it is definitely there. Randy, what's the best way to nail a great name for your program? Oh, you probably asked me one of the hardest questions for me. I have a limiting belief that I'm not great at naming programs. However, I love the names of my programs, except for one of my programs. I don't love the name of Marketing Mastery. But like Pace Club, Profit Acceleration Club for Entrepreneurs, HeartCore Endurance, I like those names, but like Jesse came up with You versus You, right? So let me kind of unpack why those names happened, and then maybe you can take that into naming your program. So like the Zone event, it's about the product or program about. Like, what is the promise that I'm offering to this group of people, right? And grab a big, piece of paper and just start writing these things down. So with the Zone event, it was about getting entrepreneurs into the zone so that they could find like the whole theme behind that event is, yes, I teach marketing and sales and all of that type of stuff, but none of that works if you don't get into the zone, right? Like if you can't get yourself into the zone, you just don't follow through. So as I'm talking about my vision for that event, I keep repeating, getting into the zone, getting into the zone. It's almost like the name starts to pick itself. This is just true for me. I'm not saying that this is the only way and best way to name a program. I'm sure you could probably Google on YouTube and find a link that somebody has taught or a blog that somebody has taught that outlines how to name a program. I mean, that's the great thing about this world now, the internet. I go to the internet and ask questions like this all the time and see what I find. So that's letting you into my brain of how I do it. And I sit there like Profit Acceleration Club for Entrepreneurs. It used to be called Sapphire. Well, I just don't like naming my products jewelry. You know, it's just like, jewelry doesn't match. You get what I'm saying? So as I was playing with that, I was like, what is the theme? What am I doing here with this group of people? Well, I'm accelerating their profits, right? I'm helping them grow a business, get a platform underneath them, put a foundation underneath them that they could build on top of. So Profit Acceleration Club for Entrepreneurs, it's a club. It just starts to birth itself. Pace is very much about all the endurance I do. Keep your own pace, right? Pace Club is a program that you can do it at your own pace. There's some people have already, like, there's some people right up with me right now. There's some people way behind me. And then there's some people that are ahead of me. And it's learning how to keep your own pace, right? So there's different ways to get to it. So then pace comes up. And then I start looking, well, how can I take that word and make it an acronym? So those are little things that I do to be able to name, no idea who this person is, that I do to name our programs. So again, I'm not the best namer on the planet, but when a name chooses you, it's awesome. So part of it is just letting go of some of the intensity or need to get it right. If you could just let go of that stuff, that's all limiting beliefs. And and take the pressure off, because you can change your name. So, my company started as the Financial Mentor, then it went into HeartCore Women. And I was like, I don't want to just work with women. I want to work with men and women. And I want to go into media. And so then it went to HeartCore Business so that we could go into the media and then also attract men. And now we're starting to move away from some of the pink and bring in some of the blue and pink and white and gray. So it's an evolution of getting better. So let yourself off the hook on that and just see what starts to resonate. Also look in your group. I guarantee you in Pace Club, there's probably some people who are pretty good at naming things, and use the power of the group around you. Use the community. There's probably somebody in there that could help brainstorm that. Hope that helps, Randy. That's my process. That would be no different than my process sitting where I am in a multiple seven-figure company. That is how messy and simple, and everybody wants this tight little bow on things and this perfect formula, and building a business is messy, and thinking through things is a little messy. And so that's what it would look like in my company, completely transparently. Alicia, coaching contracts with clients, what does that look like? Coaching contracts with clients, are you saying what do the contracts look like? I'm not quite sure about what your question is, Alicia, but I'll answer it the best I can based on my interpretation. So coaching contracts, I would always recommend that you go to an attorney. I would recommend you go to a local attorney that can write your contracts, that if something goes sideways, that they can also defend them. I've had contracts that I've taken. It's such a bad thing in the coaching industry, but it's, we all get started how we get started. My coach years ago gave me her coaching contract. I took it to my local attorney, and then my local attorney tweaked it so that I would end up with a contract that attorney felt that was a good contract. Then things happen, like lawsuits and things like that happen. They just do, right? And so then your contracts get better. They keep getting stronger. So no different than anything else in life. When you get on a bike and you start to ride it and you fall off, you start to learn how to ride it better. And sometimes you still fall off depending on the terrain that you're on. So I would recommend, without a doubt, with a non-negotiable, that you use an attorney that's a good attorney. They'll cost anywhere between $200-$500 on the very, very high end, usually about $700 to create a contract. I have spent $1,000 to create a contract, but that is because we were going through like a lawsuit scenario at one point inside of our company. And so now over 7 years, I've now created a contract that is insanely powerful. And let me just even take it even deeper. Now we're in massive asset protection to protect us on that standpoint, because what's happened now is, and maybe this is a long drawn out question, but I want you to see the longevity of where it goes. Eventually your company gets to a point where there's attorneys who will actually just take on court cases to be able to have the client gets nothing, but the attorney gets everything, and they go after you because you have money. So then you have to actually create these asset protection, attorneys, which are expensive. They're $10, $15, $20,000 just to put them on retainer. But then they lock you up over the next, 6 months to 2 years so that you become untouchable. So that's kind of the trajectory of from a contract to a bigger business to, asset protection. Hope that helps. I do have somebody coming on, I think next Tuesday. I do have somebody coming on to talk about online law and protection so anybody who is internet marketing, email marketing, any of that type of stuff, to kind of talk to you about how you keep as safe as possible. And she would be a great resource to reach out to and have a conversation with her, or hire her to work things out for you. Okay, so Monty, when do you need to resurvey? What's a great way to do it in an email with the follow-up survey? Okay, so I think I understand your question. So for those of you who don't understand what Monty's asking, when you build an audience before you launch a product, or if your audience isn't listening to you, it's a really good idea to go survey them. It's amazing how people listen to you. It's amazing how people listen to you online when you actually don't deliver content out of your mind, and you actually deliver content that people actually ask you for. Then you become highly relevant. When you become highly relevant, you become highly valuable. When you become highly valuable, people take out their credit cards and they invest with you. That's the secret of marketing. How do you actually land on a message that is highly valuable for an audience? The way that you want to do that is survey. I don't care if you're Bob Proctor, Deepak Chopra, Oprah, whoever it is. If you pay attention, they're all surveying. So don't make this hard. So Monty, you don't have to hide a survey. You don't have to, honesty converts. I always say this. So if you sent a survey that didn't work very well, you can always say, you know what, I don't think I was very clear on that last survey. And so my question is would you just so the deal is take the pressure off people. Would you just take 2 minutes and answer these 2 questions or these 3 questions, and take your existing survey and make it stronger? Then you can also add something like, if you do this, I will gift you XYZ, right? And so this could be a great opportunity for you to create an information product where, if you do this before Friday or within the next 24 hours, I will send you an email invite, and I will do a 30-minute training on XYZ, my gift to you. That 30-minute training can become something called a tripwire. Tripwire is something that you sell for $7, $19 to your database. When you sell that 30-minute training that you give as a bonus for the people, and make it good, make it really good, that if they fill out the survey, they get this 30-minute training with you. Then you take that 30-minute training and you actually make it a $7 and $19 give to your database. And what that does is when people buy that product, they're actually raising their hand for being a highly motivated person. Whenever we have to take if I take my credit card out for $9 online, I'm motivated in that product. Do you get what I'm saying? It's just such a pain in the butt to take out your credit card. And so when you see it, you're like, oh, that's a price point that's cheap. I'm willing to do that, and I'm very interested in that product. It's called a tripwire. So I don't teach that in Pace Club, but if you show up to Coffee with Shanda, you start to learn these types of things. So that would be interesting, because now you'll have more people that want to answer the survey. So like your thing about getting off sugar, just because I know you a little bit, that like a 30-minute, I would go to medium.com, go find a headline that's really good, that has lots of claps, or go to amazon.com and find a book that has tons of reviews. and find a swipe file that you could swipe a good headline, and that could be the name of your 30-minute talk. And if you did it about like eliminating sugar for the rest of your life, or just really, setting the bar that somebody will actually take that and completely transform their life, then I think that will end up being a great tripwire for you, which means that you'll pre-qualify some of your audience. Does that help? Okay. So, Teresa, I have languages as topics for my first list and living abroad for the second list, which is smaller. Which list should I prepare for my webinar? I like to travel more, and I've been an expat for about 17 years, but I have a product of languages. Why can't you do both? Why can't you do both? Like, so there are some months I do a webinar every single week. Now, I might take the same webinar and do it every single week live because I'm practicing it until I finally have a good result. I look at the comment section on my webinar, and I look for not any mean people, because I don't listen to those people, but I look for good, constructive questions. Like, Shanda, that sounds great, but I'm confused here. I look for things like that, and then I'll go redo the webinar again, and I'll just make these tiny little tweaks where I get better at teaching the content, so that I get rid of confused minds, because a confused mind doesn't buy, right? A confused mind is just confused. So I'm looking to clarify things and be as best of a teacher as I can in the webinar. So that's that one kind of tweak with the webinars. Secondly, why couldn't you do both? You could send out an email series to both lists and do 2 different webinars that are in the same format, but different topics. So that's my answer to that. Why limit yourself? The harder you work, sometimes the more you yield the harvest. And that doesn't mean you have to work on weekends. But when I do look in a lot of people's lives, they think they're working hard. But if I was to track you every hour of production, which is something we do in leadership, they're about to get a stretch like this where they track every hour. And when you track every hour, then what happens is you start to realize how productive or non-productive you are. It's powerful. Linda, for me, you have given. Oh, you're so cute, Linda. So you've gotten everything that you need right now, and you're putting it into action. I'm sure you'll have something come up. Great. I love that. I was like, what? Okay. Christina, how do you deal with money objections from potential clients? I know that it means they do not see the value, but how do you add value for a win in the conversation? Okay, so I'll end on this question. Everybody always says to me, I know that money objections are value challenges, but if you really knew that, you would be asking yourself the question, like, how is this person not valuing this? How do I bring more value to them? I know you're asking that question right now, but it's individual for the person that you're speaking to. So you could simply ask them, you could simply be honest. I'm a big fan of honesty. Honesty converts. So I would say, you know what, Susan, I get that you have a money shortage in this, or you feel like you can't pay for this, or this feels really real for you. But I also know that if you had a little baby girl who needed to get, some sort of a transplant or a blood transfusion, and you didn't have medical, and in order for her to live, you would have to come up with $10,000 in the next, 5 days, that you would find a way to do that. You'd start a GoFundMe. You would ask everybody you'd be doing a call campaign. You'd be door knocking. Let's talk good old fashioned, the way my grandma made her millions. Door knocking, selling encyclopedias. So, when you look at what we really do to create the results that we want in life, we really are honest with that. Often we stop at, I just don't have enough money. What if you were the person that operated at a level that you always created the money for something that you really wanted? So I'm going to assume that you're the type of person who would find a way to get that transplant for your little daughter so that she could live. Like, I believe that I can trust you on that if you do, right? Like, but it's setting up the context is what I'm doing. So let me ask you an honest question. The honest question I have for you is, what do I need to say right now that would have you actually see the value in you stepping forward in your vision or your dream to have this product? Like, for me, it would be to have a business, you know, to have the marriage you want, to be healthy and fit. What is it that I need to say that's going to allow you to become that person, to show up the way you need to show up, to have the body that you want, to have the marriage that you want, to have the business that you want? What's missing for you right now? And that's going right into value. It's going right into value. And what they'll say is, well, no, I really do want to do it. I really just, but stop for a second. Just play the game with me. Just play the game with me. Do you want, like, just to be clear, do you want this product? Yes, I do. Okay, why do you want it? They tell you. This is going into a repitch. You're going back into vision. Why do you want it? They tell you. And you say, now you've got somebody in vision. And so a big piece of your goal and your masterfulness of sales is enrollment, but that comes from your personal leadership. So how do you take a hold of that conversation and lead somebody to the vision that they really want? I am so thankful that people led me to the vision of growing my company. I'm so thankful in those people not seeing me as broken, bankrupt, losing my car. I'm so thankful they didn't have to pre-qualify me, and they actually just looked at me and believed in me and saw my greatness and held my hand and walked me through that process. And I will say I was nice and kind in the process of even being fearful. So if you got a mean person, you might want to just let them go. But if you have a nice person, walk them through. It's about set the context, land, set the context, land. I hope that makes sense for you, Christina. So the way that you set that up and go back into value, because you know it's value, will have somebody be able to step up and start sharing with you. And then you have a choice. Whatever they say they need to be able to say yes, right? Another question that I'm paraphrasing this, Dan Sullivan has a question in one of his books I think is great. Like I'm curious, I'm paraphrasing now, but it was a great question. Something like, I'm curious, what would have to happen in your business, your marriage, whatever it is, that would make you feel like it was a success working with me a year from now? That's, again, putting people in their vision and getting them into their value. So there's lots of different ways to do it. Even if you feel confused right now, grab one and just practice it. The best way to gain your confidence is to have small little wins. And it's a win if you just grab a piece of what I've taught you and then go ahead and just start implementing it. Okay? All right. Here's to tomorrow. I will do this again, which is actually Freestyle Fridays, which means that I will answer your questions tomorrow on 6 a.m. Coffee with Shanda. So God bless. Have a fantastic, motivated, awesome day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.